He's saying how Scotland reduced knife deaths among young people, and he's literally sharing this on his wall. Now, this is the guy who says forget community action, we must lock them all up, they're horrible bad kids, lock them up. He's literally saying, I've just, for those of you who ain't only been here a while, yeah, I'm gonna edit this up into a proper video so you can watch the beginning later. He literally said, I don't give a fuck about these kids, they're bad kids, like we need to get rid of them and lock them up, because I don't care if we lock them up for 50 years. So he's literally saying that's his angle. So no, like, caring for the kids involved. And then he's saying that this article here and this action here that happened in Scotland that he didn't know about, that I did know about, proves him right. How Scotland reduced knife deaths among young people. Right? This is the first headline of this. Treating knife crime as a health issue has led to a dramatic drop in stabbings. Of the 35 deaths of young people in Britain this year, none were in Scotland. Treating knife crime as a health issue. What part of that says lock them up for 5 years? Because I'm gobsmacked that this guy thinks this proves anything for him. Yeah, we're going to get to the bit that addresses him, and like I've said from the beginning, I am not saying I'm completely against talking about sentences and stuff, yeah, but it can't be the lead focus, right? And this article does touch on that one little part, and that's why he's got run away. He saw that part and go, oh my god, I'm right. No, it's not saying what you're saying. And it also says, let me just get to it rather than talking too much, man. In 2005, right, so this is a long time ago for a start, yeah. In 2005, Strathclyde police set up a violence reduction unit. That's what you just mentioned, right? VRU. In an effort to address a problem that had made Glasgow in particular notorious. Later that year, a United Nations report illustrated why that strategy was so urgent. The study concluded that Scotland was the most violent country in the developed world. You hear that? Most violent. And I've seen a caller point that out. It might be in the same video. Based on telephone interviews with crime victims conducted between 1991 and 2000. It found that excluding murder, Scots were almost 3 times as likely to be assaulted as Americans and 30 times more likely than the Japanese. The VRU, which is directly funded by the Scottish Government and has an arm's length, listen, has an arm's length relationship with Police Scotland. Arm's length. Yeah? Cool, we're going to work with you a little, but keep there. Not like his video of going up to them and giving them a hug and filming them. No. Arm's length. Yeah? So I just can't, honestly, I'm going to keep saying it. I can't believe he's actually taken this and thinks this is a win for him. Literally. Was later rolled out across Scotland. It has adopted a public health approach to knife crime in which the police work with those in the health, education and social work sectors to address the problem. The results so far have been dramatic. Alright, of the 35 children and teenagers, obviously the numbers of this way beyond 35 now, what's going on, so it has got worse, like across the country and all of that, you know what I'm saying? But this is showing how doing a specific work in an area has a positive impact. Killed with knives in Britain so far this year, not one has been in Scotland. By contrast, in England and Wales, 2017 looks set to become the worst year for deaths of young people by knives in nearly a decade, according to figures revealed by the Guardian's Beyond the Blade project, which aims to show the true picture of knife deaths among children and teenagers in the UK. Boom, boom, boom. Between April 2006 and April 2011, 40 children and teenagers were killed in homicides involving a knife in Scotland. Between 2011 and 2016, that figure fell to just 8. The decline has been most precipitous, I don't even know that word, in Glasgow, which once had one of the highest murder rates in Western Europe. Between 2006 and 2011, 15 children and teenagers were killed with knives in Scotland's largest city. Between 2011 and 2016, none were. The number of people carrying knives also appears to have declined across Scotland. Right, I'm gonna actually try and skip through some of this rather than read the whole article, because this is just giving more and more stats of how it declined. Right, we can kind of gather it's declined a lot. Some of Scotland's success in tackling knife crime is due to factors that are arguably unique to Scotland, but there are also lessons here for the rest of the UK in general and London in particular. The evidence from Scotland suggests that while knife crime, like most crimes, can never be eradicated, it need not be understood as an interactable cultural feature of urban life. To successfully tackle it, however, there needs to be a shift in understanding of the root causes of the problem and therefore what a durable solution might look like. Root causes of the problem, which he is saying is just a bad man gangster mentality and nothing to do with social conditions, right? They literally said that. I've shown that in this video, so absolutely. Shout out Steve Allen, said he's chipping later. Look out for the video, bro. I'm gonna chop this up into a more like structured video later and re-upload it. The Scottish approach was quite conventional at first. The police played a central role in the beginning. This is the bit, right? This is the bit he's excited about. The police played a central role in the beginning, explains Christine Goodall, who along with 2 other surgeons found Medics Against Violence in 2008, a campaign group which works with health professionals, law enforcement, social services and other bodies to thwart violent behaviour. They campaigned really hard to get the legislation around knife crime changed so people would be more likely to get a mandatory sentence. So these people pushed for that, right? There was also an outset and a lot of stop and search. So these lot, they've pushed for this, right? But remember, this article started saying arm's length involvement of this. So this is a very small part of what this article is. The average sentence for carrying a knife in Scotland has tripled from 4 months to an average of 13 months, right? In these 2 times. Cool. Still nowhere near the 5 years he's talking about. So we're talking about like a 1 year, right? Where people are getting 4 months to 1 year. Maybe that's more realistic. Maybe that makes sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Alongside all these other things. And like I've said, I've never said it's not in the conversation, but it's in the conversation as a smaller factor around all these other things. And any involvement of police action, and Carlo will probably explain this better when I play the video. Any involvement of police action has to be in the context of understanding how it's going to disproportionately impact that young black men. Do you know what I'm saying? And we have to be challenging that alongside it as well. The issue, says Godot, were concentrated in certain areas, particularly around Glasgow, using intelligence from police operations. The VRU identified those people most likely to offend, asked them to voluntary attend a sheriff's unit. They did not have to come, but encouraged by community police. A lot of times did come, yeah. This is just kind of explaining how they targeted gangs. Their police mapped all the gangs, blah blah blah, which, as I've shown, Wayne has no idea who the gangs are. The decision to treat knife crime as a public health issue rather than simply a police matter appears to have underpinned both the direction and support. The fact that the initiative, if publicly funded, means strategies can be coordinated coherently and organisations can concentrate on the task at hand rather than constantly looking for money to fund the next project. That makes a big difference. Obviously these things are all underfunded, so that, you know, we do need that funding to go into it. Charities have completely short-term funding, so we're able to make a more coordinated approach with a more stable support. And Susan McVie, Professor of Quantitative Criminology at University of Edinburgh, points out that police working alone have a limited capacity to prevent knife crime. Fewer than 2% of stop and search in England result in recovery of your knife. Fewer than 2%. Oh my god, I haven't even read this shit, you know. I read some of it at the beginning and I just saw that like the actual opening of the article completely was against everything he was saying. Look at that. Fewer than 2% of stop and searches in Scotland result in recovery of a knife. That's why this was going on. So that wasn't the factor that done this then, is it? Is it? No. What was even... I skipped past that bit because I didn't see the relevance, but I said some of it. What was them targeting the specific gangs and like using intelligence to track them down, not stop and search, yeah, which they already know who these people are. It's not even that hard. It's hard to profile kids who carry weapons because a lot of those who carry a weapon aren't the ones you'd expect. They might be kids from middle class backgrounds who feel frightened. This is the article he's sharing, yeah? He's sharing this article and then coming online and saying it's nothing to do with feeling frightened. Cool. Isolated and threatened in social situations. Once violence was seen as a public health issue, the conversation changed. We started to talk to offenders and ex-offenders and challenge behaviours and the culture of violence. He's saying he doesn't want to speak to them. They're all bad. We don't want them. They're bad. Lock them up for 50 years. So again, not what he's saying. Giving information about the legal repercussions of violent crime has not proven to be a deterrent. I didn't even know how much this article was going to prove me right. I didn't know how many lines in this thing would. I just knew the general consensus of it wasn't, but that's crazy. Jane Daly from the National Youth Work Agency Youth Link Scotland, who is National Coordinator for No Knives, Better Lives, a programme aiming to raise awareness of the consequences of carrying a knife and which provides information for young people. Daly cites feedback from focus groups of young people at risk of becoming involved in knife crime, which revealed that the potential impact on people's families, particularly on perpetrators, mothers and victims' families, is one of the biggest concerns. Youth work and positive prevention have been key, she says. No Knives, Better Lives launched in 2009 when knife crime was at a high. It supports work in 24 local authorities in Scotland and involves partners including the police, youth workers and schools. What we are promoting, trying to talk to people about and asking them to implement is more positive prevention. How do we help young people develop the capacity to make positive decisions and, in this case, choose never to carry a knife or do something if they know someone else is carrying a knife? A purely justice-driven approach doesn't work. Everything I've been saying to this guy. We'll go back to it in a minute. Just to remind you, he shared this. He shared this and said it's proof that he's right. It literally says what I'm saying here. Purely justice doesn't work. You can arrest as many people as you like. You can search as many people as you like. What on earth? You can arrest as many people as you like. You can search as many people as you like. You can throw away the key if you want to. It just won't solve the problem. He shared that article. Are you having a laugh? This guy. How could you be so dumb? Like, he obviously has he just not read it? But he must have read it to have read that line that shows the one bit that he agreed with, or he got told up because he said he got this from doing a TikTok live, right? Maybe he just got told this showed something that he agreed and just shared it. Oh yeah, it's proved right. He hasn't even read it. I don't know, man. McVie thinks there are 3 things that have made tackling knife crime in Scotland easier than tackling it in London, whereas this year 18 children and teenagers have been killed with knives. The first is that VRU managed to efficiently tackle gang culture, targeting leaders and isolating them from followers. Second, she says Scotland has a different culture of violence. Incidents have tended to be over something more immediate and spur of the moment, often involving an encounter that escalated from an insult and argument rather than the bloody end of a protracted dispute or connected to criminal activity. Finally, there is the issue of trust with the police, which I've raised already in this. In London, institutional racism creates a barrier, argues McVie. If people see something going wrong, they are less likely to tell the police because they don't trust them. In Scotland, where racial bias has been less of an issue, it's been very different. So that's a quite interesting point. So it shows a very different thing. And someone was saying that to me earlier, like Scotland is not East London or whatever, or Bristol. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's an interesting point, that they don't have, they were able to maybe work with the police a little bit more, and even then they said arm's length, like that's a minimal contribution to what's going on here. It's been very different. There is more trust between police and minority communities. Questionable, but anyway, but yeah. It also seems the existence of Scottish Parliament has provided a more accessible polity in which to experiment and innovate. The mantra of the people who drove this was better to apologise later than ask for permission, explains Goodall. So we just did stuff. If we think something's a good idea, we'll just do it. I'm not going to sit around having meetings about it. Politics aside, the scale of the country has also helped, she says. There's only 5 million people in Scotland. There's probably 2.5 million across the central belt. The rest are living in the Highlands. That should be a manageable problem. Nobody in Scotland would claim they have cracked the issue of knife crime. McVie points out that the reduction in crime generally in Scotland has not been even, and people remain vulnerable in those communities hardest hit are Analysis shows that the general crime drop has mainly been as a result of reducing crime amongst those least likely to be victims in the first place, i.e. one-off victims of property crime. I think we've probably covered this enough, right? I'll read that. Let's see, I'm going to scroll through, but because we've made our point, right? I mean, it's come to the end now anyway. Steve Trafford says, sorry, does it say what that plunker asserts was just doing some work, so distracted? No, bro. I mean, it said one little bit where they had they did increase stop and search, and they said they did that a little bit, so they added that to it, and they increased sentences up to 13 months, right? Not 5 years like he's saying. And they said that was part of it in the beginning, and then they later said that stop and search doesn't work, and that only 2%, less than 2% of stop and searches result in finding anything. Yeah, they basically said nothing about what he said. Crazy. You know what I'm saying? He thinks all of this is about crazy telling me stuff, where it's actually just him being crazy. And I just want to remind you guys, this literally proves what I've been saying, guys. Yeah? Let's just highlight that. This literally proves. Yeah, this literally proves what I've been saying, guys. What I just shared there. This. Yeah? A purely justice-driven approach doesn't work. Yeah? This literally proves what I've been saying, guys. Yeah? Let's just find a couple more that we already highlighted. Like this whole section here. Fewer than 2% of stop and searches result in the recovery of a knife. It's hard to profile kids who carry weapons. Yeah? This literally proves what I've been saying, guys. Yeah? You're having a laugh, mate. Yeah? You're having a complete laugh. The decision to treat knife crime as a public health issue rather than simply a police matter appears to have underpinned both the direction and support. This literally proves what I've been saying, guys. Lunatic. Yeah, I'm going to get his page off the screen now. I'm going to get that off the screen now.